Fellow degenerate watch addicts, we meet again. Today I've got something I consider really special. It's the newest iteration of the Conquest, and personally, this is exactly the style that I have been craving. I absolutely love the fact that Longines made a luxury-centric field watch with conservatively styled crown guards. It was something I really wanted to see from Rolex, but it never happened, and I'm glad at least one brand finally did it. This is also my very first Longines ever. I've never handled one, nor have I seen one in person, but so far the first impressions are really good. As you can see, I've got it on a Zulu strap, and that's just a personal preference of mine. With my current work environment, a canvas strap is much more appropriate, and even just on a superficial level, it looks so freaking badass. Also, real quick, by request from a commenter, here's what the Conquest looks like with a two-piece NATO strap. I ordered mine directly from the Longines website. I don't think they're available, at least right now, on any other website. So with that being said, I paid MSRP, which is $1,975. After taxes and overnight shipping, that came out to right around $2,200. In person, the dimensions did surprise me a bit. I knew it was a 41mm watch, but it still seemed bigger than I expected. That's not a bad thing, as size is completely subjective to the owner. But I do think this watch will be more for the bigger-wristed folk out there. With that being said, if you're familiar with 40mm and above, then I think you won't mind this one at all. The wider diameter makes the already thin case appear even thinner in the best kind of way. Personally, I love how it wears on my 7 3/4 inch wrist. It takes up just enough surface area without being overwhelming. For a quick size comparison, here it is next to a Heritage Black Bay. A lot of people love the classic Black Bay, and the Conquest is very similar, but much thinner, which was really the Black Bay's biggest flaw. My biggest issue with the dimensions are the 21mm lug width. I still don't understand why any company willingly opts for odd lug width. Seriously, think about that for a second. Several people in the design team, over the course of several weeks, if not months, saw the odd lug width and said, yeah, that's a good idea. In the words of Kevin Hart, all I have to say is,
kill yourself, die, today, death to you, bitch, die.
The watch is powered by a Longines L3.830 movement, which is just another way of saying L3.830.4.52.6, which is just another way of saying L3.830.4.52.6. The biggest difference between an L3.830.4.52 and a Longines L3.830 is that this watch has a whopping 72-hour power reserve. 70 plus hours of power just hits different. For hardware, the Conquest has a stainless steel case, a sapphire crystal, a screw-down crown, and a screw-down caseback. All of this gives us 100 meters of water resistance, which is fantastic. It's a seriously pretty watch that can take a beating. The dial also has superluminova applied on the hands and indices. Usually that means the Lumeshot is going to be really good, but in this case I feel like they skimped out for the sake of being elegant. I think they could have figured out a way to make a more effective display of lume. With that being said, it works, and you can still easily tell the time in the dark. The dial has a lot of great things going on, and a lot of things that I love in a watch. Regardless of which color you pick, they're all going to have a sunburst effect to them. I opted for the black dial, and I was pleasantly surprised that the sunburst dial gives it more of a dark roasted coffee tone more so than a straight black. The applied indices are classic and simple, and give the dial a professional look. The simple indices are complemented by a tuxedo-style outer ring that adds a touch of fanciness without being overbearing. All in all, I find this to be a Goldilocks dial. Not too fancy, not too simple, just right. Looking at the crown, it's embossed with the Longines logo and surrounded by a coined edge. As far as crown action goes, I gotta tell you, this might take the place as best crown action I've ever experienced. Tudor used to be my gold standard for crown action, but at half the price, I think Longines takes the win. The crown stem feels like it's welded in place like an anchor point, and turning it makes me feel like I'm operating precision machinery. If you have OCD over this kind of stuff, then you're really going to appreciate the crown. The caseback is absolutely stunning. I'm frustrated at myself for not appreciating long ago just how beautiful Longines movements are. I usually prefer closed casebacks, but when I can see a movement that looks this good, I'm perfectly fine with an open one. This is where I really get a sense of luxury, and the screw-down caseback gives me that reassuring feeling that regardless of that luxury, it's still built tough. Going over the bracelet, the Conquest comes with a two-piece H-link bracelet with polished center links. Objectively, it's fine and feels wonderful. The edges are beautifully soft, and the links articulate as smoothly as a Jubilee. Personally, I would like to see a three-piece oyster-style bracelet, which I know is boring, but would add a great alternative for more casual outings. The current bracelet is a bit too fancy for my tastes, however, it would still be perfect for more dressy occasions. The clasp is a butterfly clasp, which operates just fine, and the presence of the Longines branding is apparent just enough to be tasteful and appropriate. Fit and finish is really well done. Longines, at least as far as I know, does a great job with their mirror polishing, and even though I prefer brushed finishes, for whatever reason I don't mind it here. I think the brushed lugs and brushed riot does a great job of offsetting the other high-polished areas, and what remains is a watch that looks exceptionally beautiful without looking dainty in the slightest. Overall, I'm very pleased with my first Longines experience. I know we're all sick and tired of the whole Omega or Rolex killer discussion, but I do think the Conquest makes a perfectly reasonable alternative to either of those brands if you're not trying to spend crazy amounts of money but still want a taste of that Swiss luxury. This watch is by no means cheap, but for most watch addicts, it is relatively attainable compared to the brands mentioned before, without sacrificing any of the elements of quality that those other brands offer. This watch is a powerhouse in both objective quality and that intangible X factor that makes any watch enthusiast smile. Realistically, at 41mm, the Conquest may struggle to take off, and I think if Longines really wants to make waves, they're gonna have to make a 38mm version. However, there's still a huge audience that this watch is going to cater to, and if you've been eyeing this one, then all I can say is it's just as good as you're hoping it to be. That's all I have to say for now. If you made it this far, a like and subscribe is always appreciated. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.